One of the goals of this channel is to be entertaining. We want you to have fun on this channel. And some of the stuff that we do is very, very serious. It's about our future wealth or even our present wealth, what our wealth is going to be tomorrow. And sometimes we just like to have a good time. And sometimes it's somewhere in between. So today we're going to do one thing that, it's kind of trying to see the future, be able to get our crystal ball out and analyze what's going to happen with all the competitors, the so-called, and they are competitors. And Elon Musk says we need the competitors. And I agree. So we're going to talk about those competitors. We're going to look at them long-term. We're going to decide, you and I are going to work together on this to come up with a decision about when does the ice age truly end. And I think I'll make a good case that it completely goes away in 2027, that except for maybe a few niche players and a few niche cars, niche vehicles of various kinds, there will not be anybody making ICE cars in 2027 because there will be no market. We said this in the Elon Musk mission. We said it in exactly the same amount of time. Everything that has happened in the last 8 months has pointed to the fact that we were right. And that's what we're going to kind of take apart today. There's going to be another part of the session today that's going to be a lot of fun too. It will be at the end. I'm encouraging you to definitely stay until the end, because we're going to be talking about this image right here, this image that everybody keeps asking about. The image. I've got an announcement with regard to the image, but you're going to have to see it at the end. Now, you could skip to the end if you're totally bored by everything we're doing, but otherwise, at the end, I'm going to tell you something about the image. Anyway, this is Randy Kirk. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're also going to be talking about Patreon at the end too, because something to do with the image is also going to have to do with Patreon. Anyway, all right, that's all I'm going to say about any of that. And let's just get into, let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we are going to see if am getting any better at doing that. Probably not, but we keep trying to get better and better at sharing the screen. I guess we have to get rid of this thing. See, that's one of the problems. Okay, so here we have the screen. And here are the projected sales for Tesla going out into the future. And then you see the black part down there. Well, I'm going to reveal it line by line as to what it is that I have in mind here. But the goal here is to talk about what's going to happen to the consumer, because the prices of EVs are going to come down and the quality of EVs is going to go up, and the variety of the offerings is going to go way up as different companies that have specializations get into the business. And even as Tesla broadens their line and gets more and more different kinds of items, different kinds of cars out there to meet different kinds of needs. So we're going to go down and we're going to look at 21 different companies. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with some of them, but we'll spend a little more time with some that require it. So let's go ahead. We look at Tesla here initially. In 2022, they sold 1,300,000. You probably know this by heart. And in the first half, they sold 880,000, almost 889,000. I'm saying that they'll end up at 1.9 million for 2023. Now, these numbers, if they end up being off by a few 100,000 one way or the other, it's not going to really affect the 2027 number, as you'll see. Part of the issue is there's 21 companies that are probably going to still be in business making EV cars in 2027. And the combination is what's going to make this happen. All right. So you can see right here, I'm just adding 50% a year straight up to 9.3 million in 2027. The very next year, it would be like 12 million, 12, 13, 14 million. So if I'm off by a year, will you hold it against me? I don't think I will be, but let's just see what happens, okay? So let's take away the first line. You're going to probably be able to guess that the first one we're going to take away is BYD. They are, I'm saying, going to do 8 million. It's 913,000 pure BEVs last year, 615,000 first half of this year. So I'm estimating that the way they're ramping right now, they're going to end up about 1.5 for 2023, then a little better than 50% next year, and then settling down to around 50% a year until they'll be around 8 million in 2027. So that gives you BYD. Now they're adding more diversification of their line. They're going into Africa. They're going into, I'm sure they're going to go into South America. Whether they'll ever come to the United States, that's a very good question. But between China, Europe, South America, Africa, they'll have plenty of opportunity to sell 8 million cars by 2027. All right, let's go to the next one here. Any guesses? Any guesses? Who do you think is going to be next? The next one is SAIC. Nobody knows who SAIC is. They're primarily an OEM maker for other people, white label. They make a lot of different cars, but they are actually right now right at the top of the BEV makers in China, as well as overall. Their total number of cars that they make is very high as well. So they did 571,000 last year. They've done 309,000 so far year to date. I'm saying they're going to end up at least at 600,000 by the end of the year, and they should be able to ramp at that roughly 50% per year. They have plenty of factory, plenty of background, plenty of history doing this kind of stuff. That's going to get them to 3.5 million by 2027. All right, let's see who comes up here next. Do you know who the next one might be? Any guesses? Rolling the drum, it is Geely. Believe it or not. But see, Geely owns Volvo and Polestar and a bunch of other brands. And in fact, the one of the top selling brands right now in Europe is the MG, and Geely is the maker of the MG. That's their brand as well. And they have a bunch of other brands, some of them you would probably not recognize. So right now, last year, 383,000, you can see they're a major player. 230, and that's just on their EV cars. That doesn't count their hybrids. That doesn't count any of the other stuff they do. And that's first half is already at 237,000. I'm going to say they're going to get up also like SAIC to 0.6 by the end of this year because of the breadth of what they sell and some of the inexpensive cars that they sell. I'm saying they're going to do a little better than SAIC going forward, as you can see, and they're going to end up at 5 million by 2027. That's my take. You can question my brains or my thinking or my wisdom, but that's what I think. Okay, then we got Volkswagen coming in next. Believe it or not, they are finally going to get their act together, or maybe they already have. No problem. We had a little accident there in the background. So nobody got hurt, apparently. So we're at 325,000 for 2022. The first half of 2023, they're already at 311 plus. So I'm saying they're going to end up beating out Geely and SAIC at 700,000 by the end of 2023. Again, doesn't count their regular gas cars, their diesel cars, doesn't count their hybrids. They've got all those, but just in EVs, I'm saying they are going to get to 0.7, and that by 2027, just with a kind of a normal ramp, they're going to get to 4.5 million. So who would be next in line here? That would be, whoops, I hit it wrong. Try that again. All right, that would be Stellantis. Who in the heck is Stellantis? Well, you know who they are. They're Jeep and they're Ram. I mean, nobody really knows the Stellantis name, but they have a whole bunch of different cars that they own the brands, and they sell them all over the world. And just in EV cars, they did 288,000. By the way, they, like BYD, are somebody who's making them profitable, making the BEVs profitably at this point. So they're at 288,000 for the first for 2022, already at 170,000 run rate. First half. I'm saying they get to 500,000 this year because they're selling some cars that people want. They're quality cars, quality brand names that people know. And I'm saying that they're going to double next year, and then they're going to settle down to about a 50% increase each year, ending up at 3.3 by the end of the time. Then we go to another name you might know. Let's see. It would be GAC. No, you don't know who well, maybe you've heard of them. If you're paying a lot of attention, you probably know who GAC is. Again, a bunch of different brands that are known around the world, but that you're not familiar with because it's being private labeled by GAC. So 273, as you can see for them, 209 already in the first half. So I'm saying they do at least 400,000 this year and then ramp at about 50% a year going forward to 2 million by the end of 2020, or 2 million total sales in 2027. Say that 3 times quickly. All right. So now we go on to the next one here. We go to Renault. Now, I thought Renault, I've known the name forever. You may have known them. They're the French maker. They're the biggest maker in France. And I thought they're a pretty small player. But looky here, 228,000 for last year of just BEVs. So far, I've searched and searched. I have done so much work. As you'll see, there's going to be a bunch of missing information about the first half. On Renault, I could not find anything because they also make hybrids. I couldn't find anything that broke it down. So I'm going to go based on last year and what I think they're doing this year, because they have some very successful EV cars that are selling very well in France and in the rest of Europe. And I'm going to say they get to 0.5 this year. And then they'll get to 2.3, which would be a big deal for them. This will be one of those ones that's going to be upsetting some apple carts, if you will. All right, next in line is BMW. There's a brand you know. All right, they did 215,000 last year, but they're only at 152 so far this year. That's an okay increase. I'm going to say they get to 400,000. Next year, they double, and then they go back into 50% per year. BMW, I think they just have to get their feet under themselves. Getting to 2 million would be a good deal for them. I think they would be very pleased with that number by 2027, but I think it's doable, a brand that has a lot of staying power. All right, let's go on down here to the next one, which is going to be, that would be Hyundai Kia. Now, I am downplaying Hyundai Kia here. I think they're going to do better than what I'm showing. But they did 203,000 last year. Could not, again, find a number that could tell me what they've done this year because it was hybrids and everything mixed together. So I'm just going to go with double last year at 400,000. I think that's reasonable, and doubling again in 2024 at 800,000. They've got some brands. They got some cars that look good, work good, and people like. And then settling down to 50% a year to where they're going to end up at 2.7 by 2027. And they could do better than that. I think they could even end up being around 4 million by the end of this period. All right, let's see who comes up next on the, whoops, yes, let's see, here we go. Next would be Li Auto. Okay, they've been in the news a lot. They did 133,000 last year, and I couldn't find anything, again, that broke it out. So I'm just going to go with 200,000 for 2023, 300,000 next year, and then moving up at about 50% for a little over 1 million. That would be, I'm sure Li Auto, if they told their stockholders they were going to be 1 million in 2027, everybody would be thrilled. Now we're going to come up with another one in the same group, if you will. You're going to recognize these now. NIO, kind of in the same boat, 122,000 last year. I'm saying they end up at about the same place. Now, some of these companies might do much better. Maybe Lee does better, NIO does worse, but these are kind of, rough ballpark of what I see these existing and successful companies doing. You're going to see, this is going to sound like the triplets here. And so what we next is Xpeng. Xpeng at 120,000, about the same numbers. All three of these companies doing well. So basically, I've got them also moving along at about the same rate. Number 14, it says 15, but Tesla is on line 2. So here we go. We have these next folks is Mercedes. All right, they only did 117,000, but you can imagine that Mercedes is probably going to, now that they've kind of got a couple of cars that work, they're going to, I'm going to say they've only done 112,000. They've done 113,000 first half. So I see them starting to pass those other three up there, getting to 250,000 this year, and then 4, and maybe getting to 2 million. And again, I think they'd be happy with that number. I think they really would. That would be a good number for them. It might cause them to be one of the highest dollar volume cars in the EV business. Okay, Ford coming in at 3 million. They're only at 61,000, as you know, not doing very well, 31,000 first half, so still at the same run rate. I'm saying they're going to get their act together by 2024 and do 150,000, and then kaboom, once they've got their line set up, I say they go to 1.2 million and finally end up at 3. Of course, their buddies at General Motors are next. I have about as much hope for General Motors as I do for Ford. Most people think Ford will do better. But GM, only 39,000 last year. Couldn't find their numbers for this year so far. And I've got them also figuring it out and getting to 3. Many of you will probably sit in the comments and say, not a chance, GM will be bankrupt by that time. I'm not going to argue with you. That is a very high possibility. Porsche only did 34,000 last year, couldn't find their breakout right now. I'm saying they get to 600,000. I'm sorry, that is an error there. That is, how did I do that? These are all incorrect. This should be 02. Anyway, I'm very sorry. It still works out to where they get to 3 million, but that should be 02, and this should be 06. This should be 07. This should be 08. Then finally they get into their numbers. I'll fix those later, but I still believe that Porsche gets to 2 million. Next would be Rivian. They did 20,000. They've done 12,600. They're saying they're going to do 40,000. I'll go along with that. And then I think they'll double up a couple of times because I think they've got the customer base, a specific kind of customer base. I think they'll do a little better in terms of how they move out and ramp up, but I don't think they'll get much over 300,000 in this period. I could be really wrong on that. Rivian could do better than that. And then we have the Nissan company. This could be really an overstatement. They did 12,000 last year, only 4,000 year to date. I'm saying they only get to, 100,000 this, 10,000 this year, 20,000. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Nissan. It's a big open question. Now you have next is Toyota. Who knows? They're at 0. I'm figuring they figure it out and they'll get to 3 million like General Motors and Ford. That could be a little high, but we'll see what happens on that. And then finally is Honda getting to 2 million. Again, that could be high, but all right. So let's say a couple of those numbers are high and they don't come in. We could still, you'll see the total here comes out to, I'm sorry, I had other at 2.4. There's about, I don't know, another 100 companies. Some of them are going to make it. There's a company called Chery that's probably going to make it. There's going to be others that might do well. It's hard to know which ones are going to make it and which ones are not. So now we'll go to the grand totals down here. And the grand total is, as you can see, we are currently at about, last year, about 7.7 million. I'm saying that gets up about 50% to 11.7, then about another, a little bit more than 50% to 19, a little tiny bit more than 50%, then about 50%, a little less than 50%, and then another little less than 50%. And so you get to 65 million by 2027. Now, 65, there's 80 million cars sold a year, as you know. It could be 85, could be 75, could be 90. But I'm saying that when they're able to make 65 million in 2027, the other 15 million people that might want a car in 2027 are going to say, I'll wait. All right. They're going to wait for 2028 when that number could be 85 million. So that's a kind of a guess and who knows. And it could happen faster than this because, again, some of these cars could ramp fast. Some other makers could come in and ramp fast. We don't know. But that's how I get to 65 million by 2027. And, let me know in the comments. Maybe you think I'm just nuts, but maybe it's only going to be one more year. What if it only takes one more year and I'm just off? It's 40% a year. Anything could happen. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna stop sharing, and then I'm going to take away my beautiful image here because all of you have been wondering what the heck is that car. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to take away the image. I'm going to change to nothing in my background. And then I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to pick up I got a phone call or an email from a guy named Dale, and he's a regular listener and a good guy. And he's actually been in the promotional products industry like I was for many, many, many years. And Dale says, I'm going to send you a gift. He sends me a gift. He sends me this. Are you seeing this? This is a stainless steel version of the Cybertruck. And it is made out of the same exact stainless steel. It is thick. This thing weighs, okay? It is thick. It is really nicely done. The whole thing is beautifully done. It is a refrigerator magnet. Oh, and by the way, you can use it to open up your drink. That's a can opener. So you see, we've got, a bottle opener. So you've got a beautiful stainless steel Cybertruck. In this particular case, we have a camo version of it. It comes in this beautiful Apple type box. It's a really tough, you want to keep the box. It's so nice. It comes in there. So it becomes a gift, a beautiful gift that you could give to somebody out there who's another Tesla freak who would just love to have one of these camo Cybertruck can opener refrigerator magnets. Oh, by the way, it also comes in regular stainless steel like this. Now, everybody's been asking me, how could they get my image, the image that didn't exist? So now, guess what? You have a chance. You can actually get this one. Dale and I got together this morning. We got on a phone call and we're like, okay, how are we going to get these out to folks? Well, it's going to be getting easier and easier. But right now, because you guys are here all the time and I know you want to get it right away, I'm going to be putting these up on Amazon, probably at $25 retail. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give at least the next 15 people who sign up for Patreon. You got to sign up at the $10 level. You got to sign up not as a test. You got to sign up immediately at the $10 level. At least the next 15 people that join, I'm going to give you one of those. Okay, there you go. So that's how that's going to work. Now, if you don't want to join Patreon and you're like, I don't want to hassle Randy, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to be involved with Patreon for all these different reasons, but I still want one of those Cybertrucks. All right, you can send me at my email, randykirk77@gmail. You can go on to into PayPal. You can send me $25. Send me $25. Tell me which one you want. You got to let me know which one you want. You got to let me know your address, obviously. Same thing with Patreon. You got to know, tell me which one you want. You got to give me your address. So you can either use Patreon right now or you can use PayPal right now. Those are two ways to get it done. If neither one of those work for you, let me know in the comments. We'll have a conversation, or let me know on a direct message on Twitter. I'm sorry, X. I keep doing that. And we'll get you one of these. All right. And if you want to, you can do that too, because you might want to give one to a friend who's another Tesla freak like the rest of us. All right. So anyway, I thought that was really a fun thing. Let me know what you think of the whole idea. Let me know about hit the like, hit subscribe, hit notify. And then that's all I got for you today. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and we'll see what fun things we might do next. It's Randy Kirk. Been great talking to you.